All right, welcome to your algebra video for the day. Today our topic is graphing in vertex form, and our learning target is how can I graph quadratic equations in vertex form. So jumping right in, vertex form here, we have y equals the quantity y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. So, as you should have discovered, your vertex is h, k. Now, the big piece here is that we're going to really have to pay attention to the minus sign and the plus sign because that's going to change those values of h and k. Our line of symmetry is going to be x equals h because our vertex always lies on our line of symmetry. And that a is still going to control whether it opens up for a positive a value or down for a negative a value. Let's jump right on in to our example. Graph y equals the opposite of the quantity x plus 2 squared plus 3. So the first thing that I do is we write our standard form. So we write y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now, like I said, we have to pay attention to the signs. So if we look, we have a minus sign here and a plus sign here, and a plus sign here and a plus sign here. So right now we know that k is 3, but right now our h is not 2 because minus h and plus h are not the same thing. So if we rewrite this piece as x minus negative 2, that double negative does turn into a positive, but now we have it as the minus h, so that minus sign here. And then our h would be negative 2. So in that case, we kind of just have to take the opposite if it's a plus sign. So instead of positive 2, it's really negative 2 because of that form. So that's going to be the piece that trips most people up because we just need to make sure we're really cautious and paying attention to that sign. So our vertex is h, k. Our h is that negative 2, so negative 2. And then our k is that 3 because it was the plus sign match, so we can just take the 3 as positive. All right, our line of symmetry, remember as we said, is that x equals h. Well, our h is negative 2, so our line of symmetry is x equals negative 2. Opening, our opening depends on our a value, so if we look at a, it's just a negative sign, which is really a negative 1. Negative, so that means our parabola will open down. It'll look like that. So you can draw the picture, write the word down. You could do both. But just so we know and we're aware that that's what our parabola is going to look like when we graph it. Part 2, we're going to graph our vertex and our line of symmetry. So our vertex is negative 2, 3. So we go to negative 2, 3 right there. And then our line of symmetry is going to be just that vertical line through that point. Plot 4 more points. So we're going to make that table. Remember, our vertex goes in the middle of our table. So we're going to put negative 2, 3. 2 larger numbers, 2 smaller numbers, counting by 1 each time. And then same thing, we're just going to plug that into our equation. So our equation is y equals negative 1 times x plus 2 squared plus 3. So we're going to plug in 2 different numbers for x. We're going to start by putting in negative 1 for x. We're going to make that substitution. So negative 1 times the quantity negative 1 plus 2 squared plus 3. Now you can do the math in your head. You can do the math using a calculator. Either option is fine. So if we decide to use a calculator, you can see it's typed in here. Our equation, we get 2 So when we put -1 into our function, we get 2 out, which means when we put -3 into our function, we'll also get 2 out because of symmetry. And then now let's plug 0 into our function. So we do the same thing, -1 times the quantity 0 plus 2 squared plus 3. Again, we can plug that into our calculator, -1 times the quantity 0 plus 2 squared plus 3. And we get -1 for our answer. So we have -1 and then -1 also for -4. And now we just have to plot those points so we can create our parabola. So -1, 2, -3, 2, and then 0, -1, -4, -1. And as we look, our parabola opens down just like we said it would. One more example just to make sure we have it. Graph y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 2 squared minus 5. Again, we start with writing our vertex form right above and checking those signs. So if we look, we have minus, minus, plus, minus. So in this case, our h is +2 because our signs line up. We have same minus. So our h for our vertex is going to be +2. However, our k, -5 and +5 do not match up. So to write -5 as plus, be plus and -5. So we just have to take that sign with the number and make it -5. Line of symmetry, line of symmetry is x equals h. So we just say x equals, our h value is 2, so x equals 2. Opening, remember our opening is all about that a value. So if we look at our a value, it's +2. So we're going to open up. So you can draw it, you can write the words, you can do both. Now we need to graph our vertex and our line of symmetry. So our vertex is 2, -5. So we go to 2, -5. And then draw that vertical line through x equals 2. Plot 4 more points, make that table. So our vertex goes in the middle, 2, -5. Put numbers on either side. And we have our equation, y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 2 squared minus 5. So we'll start by putting 3 in for x. So 2 times 3 minus 2 squared minus 5. If you would like, you can use your calculator. 2 times the quantity 3 minus 2 squared minus 5 equals -3. And then we can do the next one. We'll have to put 4 in for x. And we get +3. So we have -3 here and +3 there. Use that symmetry piece, and then we draw the parabola. 3, -3. And 1, -3, and then 4, +3, 0, +3. And there we have our parabola. And as we said it would, it opens up. All right, that completes graphing in Vertex Form. I hope this video was helpful to you, and please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.